Bolt fam, another week of training camp is upon us. My name is Taylor, and I'm the host of the Electric Edge podcast. In today's episode, we're going to go through day 4 of training camp, plus other news that's come out from the Chargers, including Phillip Rivers retiring as a Charger finally. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, follow me on X at Electric Edge Pod. With that being said, let's get into the show. All right, we have Chargers.com up here. We're going to go into Phillip Rivers retiring as a Charger. But before we do that, let's talk about day 4 of training camp. So the big news out of training camp yesterday, today is Tuesday, is Quentin Johnston looked really, really good. He connected with Herbert on 2 touchdowns. Let's look at the video here. I want to be so optimistic about QJ. I mean, you could see he has the talent. It's just in key moments, he drops the ball. I don't know what it is. Part of me thinks it's a mental block. But if he can catch passes like that in a game, I think this adds a whole other dimension to the Chargers offense. So let's read about his 2 touchdown day at camp. So the article says the Chargers wide receiver hauled in 2 touchdowns from Herbert, a strong sign Johnston is ready to make another leap after making solid progress in year 2. Johnston's first score was on a 58-yarder that Herbert dropped in the bucket down the left sideline. The Chargers offense was at their own 42-yard line and looking to move the chains on 2nd and 8 before Johnston ended the drive with a big-time play. But Johnston wasn't done, as he later connected with Herbert on a 25-yard touchdown. The Chargers had just moved into a red zone type drill with the offense starting at the 25-yard line and looking to move inside the 20. The article finishes, the Bolts offense never got the chance as Herbert lofted a pristine pass to Johnston down the left sideline that ended the drill for the first team offense after just 1 play. So I think this is the second video from camp yesterday. Oh, that's pretty. That is so pretty. My hope is that this is a confidence booster for Johnston and he just keeps building and building and building in training camp and also through the preseason. It's going to be interesting how the depth chart looks. He could be the wide receiver too. My guess is going to be the 3rd wide receiver, but we'll see how that pans out as training camp progresses and also as the preseason finishes. The article goes on to say, Johnston's big day is noteworthy after Mike Williams retired last week, with Williams expected to fill the role as the main X receiver on the roster. The onus may now fall on Johnston depending on how things shake out in camp. If Monday was any indication, Johnston seems ready to build off his strong 2024 season that saw him catch 55 passes for 711 yards and a team-high 8 touchdowns. We also have to remember he's only 23 years old, so there's a lot of room to develop and grow. You never know how the season's going to turn out. I mean, he had good numbers last year, even with some really, really, really bad drops. But he could be a 1,000-yard receiver this year. That's totally possible. I really want to be optimistic on QJ. In my heart, I have to be because his success means the team is successful. So I'm hoping that these positive steps in training camp pushes his development forward and he gets to be that 1,000-yard receiver that I think the Chargers believe he can be. Okay, point 2 from yesterday's training camp. Chargers get a lot of situational work. So it says that mindset began early with a Mayday period in which the field goal operation had to sprint onto the field, get lined up as the clock ticked down. Cameron Dicker didn't actually kick, by the way, but is expected to partake in full team drills later in the week. The offense also worked on getting the ball away from their own end zone as they faced 1st and 10 at the 1-yard line. Herbert's group faced 3rd and 3 from the 8-yard line in that drill before he connected with Vlad McConkey for a first down. Trey Lance's group was up next and also had a 3rd and 3 situation before the quarterback scrambled to the sticks. The Chargers later worked on red zone situations and a 2-minute drill as quarterback DJ Lele's group were at their own 35-yard line with 1 minute and 15 seconds left on the clock. I'm not sure what string Jay was on, but it looks like Trey Lance has been working with the second team. So good information there. Molden comes off the PUP list. He was seen at practice yesterday. He changed his number. He's now number 2. So if you see some pictures, you're like, who's number 2? It's Elijah Molden. So it says Molden went through stretches with teammates before working off to the sideline with the trainer. The next step for Molden is likely going through individual work before ramping up to 7-on-7 and full team drills. Other news that I wanted to go through that was on X. So let's pull this up. So the Chargers signed another running back yesterday in Nyheim Hines. They had 2 running backs work out. John Kelly, who was on their practice squad last year, and Nyheim Hines, who 2 years removed from a really bad knee injury. Daniel Popper put some information out on X. So there's some videos of him working out. He looked really good, and he worked out well enough where the Chargers signed him to a contract. So let's see. Yeah, he reached an agreement. Don't know how long the agreement is, but with Najee being hurt, I don't think Rocket Sanders has been on the field yet, so the Chargers are looking for some more running back depth. And I know that Hines is also one of those running backs that can catch out of the backfield. So there's another piece to add to this evolving dynamic offense. Okay, let's go. Let's check. Rashawn Slater did not. He practiced off this onto the sideline yesterday. I think Greg Roman had mentioned it's just part of his workout. Nothing to really dive into there. Offensive line yesterday was Joe Alt. Bradley Bozeman was at left guard. Zion Johnson was at center. Becton at right guard. And Pipkins was at right tackle. So a little bit of change up on that offensive line. I talked about it in our last episode that there's going to be this continuous shuffle until they figure out who are the right pieces that they're going to put on the line. Okay, also who came off the PUP list was Jalen Johnson yesterday. Most likely he may be a special teams type of guy. We'll see how that depth chart pans out. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to go through today is the big news that came out yesterday in the afternoon was that Philip Rivers is finally retiring as a Charger. So let's pull this up. The Chargers put out a video of him yesterday of his retirement, and I think someone was cutting onions in my house. So there's about a 4-minute video of Philip Rivers retiring and talking about his time with the Chargers, and it was really something special. If you haven't seen the video, I encourage you to check it out. About 4 minutes, they had some of his OG offensive linemen come in to hand him his 1-day contract, which I thought was really cool. I think Nick Carter was in it, Marcus Manil, Jeremy Clary. They all came through. So I'll put the link of the video. The Chargers YouTube posted yesterday. Take a watch if you haven't. But what I'm hoping for is that Philip Rivers finally retired as a Charger. They'll eventually, maybe next season or this season. I'm not too sold on this season. I think it's going to be a next season thing where they retire his number and put him in the Chargers Hall of Fame. I think I'll be crying when that happens. You know, Philip Rivers was a very special player. He gave it his all. He played 16 seasons with the Chargers. If you're looking at just pure stats, he's probably one of the 10 best quarterbacks to ever play. But he doesn't have a ring to show for it. And at the end of the day, rings matter. It's really unfortunate because they had teams where they had the talent to go all the way, and then they just couldn't get it done. But love to see it. Love to see him finally retire as a Charger. It's well deserved. And just back on the 4 offensive linemen. So Chris Gilman was also there too. So pretty cool moment. Definitely check it out if you haven't. Philip Rivers finally retiring as a Charger. Well deserved. One of the best to ever do it. And looking forward to his Hall of Fame game at some point, probably next season with the Chargers. So with that being said, that was some updates from day 4 of training camp, plus the news of Philip Rivers retiring as a Charger. Like I said, if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to Electric Edge on YouTube. Follow me on X at Electric Edge Pod. I will be at training camp this week. I was initially going to be at Wednesday's training camp in San Diego, but plans changed. So I'll be at Thursday at the Bolt. If you're at the Bolt, come say hi. I'll have some cool stickers with me. Mention the show, I'll give you one. But with that being said, be sure to look for more content coming this week on training camp, plus my experience at training camp. Hope you enjoyed this video. And as always, bolt up.